live, 3 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl, 18 seasons. So let's go to Dallas, San Francisco. Off a bye, I thought Dallas had they had a life in the first half. And then, you've been in these locker rooms, whatever Kyle Shanahan, whatever potion or magic elixir he fed the team, Niners had a perfect third quarter. But if I'm San Francisco, I feel like, Matt, we're down like 7 starters. Brock Purdy was a little off in the first half. We didn't come off a bye. We came off an emotional Kansas City win. I thought it was a really big win when you contextualize the circumstances for San Francisco. It wasn't just another W. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a little bit like a NASCAR race. Sometimes you play in a game like that. You don't want to lose the race early. You don't want to get in a crash early. And I thought early on there were just some crash and burn situations for Dak Prescott. I think you're right. I think Brock Purdy played better than Dak. And that's a little bit surprising, I think, to people who tuned into that game last night.
Yeah. What do you make of McCaffrey? Their red zone offense isn't the same. It's okay to admit McCaffrey's the best. The Walter Payton's the best running back I ever saw. McCaffrey's in the short list of the next. Maybe they just need him to win big games.
No, listen, it's kind of what I mean, though, Colin. You come out with a game plan going into a game against a good team, right? And that's a good matchup. It's a heavyweight fight last night. And I think you go into it hey, no big mistakes early, okay? Let's run all of our different personnel groups. Let's use our shifts and motions. Let's see what their plan was. And then we can kind of make a second half adjustment and kind of go at it. And I think the Dallas Cowboys, it was sort of the opposite. You had a first quarter interception that was really, really terrible by Dak. A third quarter interception that was terrible. Kind of had 2 late fourth quarter touchdown passes. But I would say the best thing that I can say about Dak Prescott is I think he's just so mentally tough. But I just thought watching the game last night, he didn't look good as a runner. Conversely, Brock Purdy looked very good as a runner. And then I just didn't think that Dak played as physically tough as I've seen him play in the past. It looked like he was feeling Bosa on the pressure. It was like he wasn't trusting his protection. And then he was forcing balls that clearly you can, for the amount of money that he makes. And if you look at the pie chart of where the money's going on that team, they need more from Dak Prescott. When I was playing, I had a coach once say to me, he said it all the time. He said, listen, with the amount of money that you're making right now, you need to be amazing marinara sauce over yesterday's pasta. And some of the guys that he's playing with, by their contract, they're yesterday's pasta. He needed to be that amazing marinara sauce to just make it right. And last night he did not do that.
So I usually when there's a Hail Mary, I feel bad for the losing team. It's just gutting to watch a team that plays hard and loses. Yesterday, I had no sympathy for Chicago. I thought the coaching in the second half was awful. And I'm not somebody that bangs on coaches a ton, but if somebody got fired today, I'm like, yeah, that was embarrassing off a bye. Take me to the Hail Mary. For instance, Chicago had a spy on Jaden Daniels. He's not going to run 52.
Yeah, that was foolish. Foolish.
What the hell is that? What did you take?
Yeah, well, that was wrong.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Let me just say this. I heard the press conference afterwards, and the head coach is talking about we practice this all the time. Let me give you the reality of it. I don't know if you know this, but yes, you practice this every single Saturday. You practice it in training camp, but never. I played 18 years in the NFL. Never one time did we ever practice it competitively. Typically, what you do is you practice it. Okay, it's the offense's turn. Okay, you're live. You drop back. You throw it up real high. You have spots. There's coaching to it. And it's the offense's turn to go catch the ball. Then it's all right, let's do it again. Now it's the defense's turn. And now there's a point man. There's a front guy. There's people all boxing out. Think free throw of a basketball game. That's exactly what it is. Now they dropped the ball on it, clearly. But I don't know how you fix it if you're not practicing it with intention or, maybe even practicing it with some level of competition where you're competing for the ball, where you're filming it. Typically, you don't film a Saturday practice. So unless you're really dialed in and really watching it or learning from other people's mistakes, you're not getting it fixed. The best coach I ever had coaching in the Hail Mary was probably Chuck Pagano. Chuck Pagano would go back in the archives. He'd go back to the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants Hail Mary that really could have gone New England's way. And he would show, hey, if this ball would have bounced a little bit different, this guy wasn't boxing out, this guy wasn't boxing out, but typically it's something that people gloss over. And I think the Chicago Bears got caught. That's something that they glossed over, and it's going to cost them this year.
You know, Matt, and I think what makes it worse is stuff that happened before that. So they had a moment. It was their best drive of the game, Chicago, and they put a center in. And I'm like, Chicago, it's your best drive. You got a mobile quarterback. You got good running backs. Why wouldn't you, if you're a quarterback, could you say, guys, this isn't the time to call it?
Listen, I actually understand why this happens. It reminded me a little bit of like William the Refrigerator Perry,
right.
In Chicago. It's kind of cool, like it's cool unless you're Walter Payton, then it's not cool. But listen, these offensive coordinators are human, and they're seeing all the love that Detroit got with Ben Johnson, all these plays to the offensive linemen. And I think that plays into it. I think we got this play. We practiced it. It looks good. I don't hate it. I actually don't think I would throw stones at the Chicago game plan. I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought the offense did enough right to give themselves a chance to win that game. But that, to me, that play was not game ready. It's almost like they rushed it. I would say this, when my kids got their driver's license at 16, they were like, hey, we want to go downtown Boston. I was like, nah, you're sticking around the neighborhood. We need a little more time on task here. And that just looked like a play that they put in maybe a couple weeks ago. They repped it 2 times. And that probably was the right call for them. But I think I understand why it got called.
Okay, let's go back to the Hail Mary. There's a player for the Bears, jawing with fans. At Monday or Tuesday's meeting, how is that addressed by the staff? Is it addressed again, he ended up moving over, but it's just systematic of
it's a terrible situation. Listen, that stuff happens. I would say this though, there's enough blame to go around, and how this gets handled on a Monday, Tell the Truth Monday is what it's called. How this gets handled on a Tell the Truth Monday in the film room will determine a lot of how this team comes together or doesn't come together. Because what should happen, I don't know if 29's the box out guy here. He's probably not. So there's probably another defender on that field that probably has to say, hold up, we lost the game because I didn't box out. And then there needs to be a coach that stands up and says, you know what? I could have taken the bullet at the podium and I didn't. I actually deflected and I knew exactly what happened. And that's on me, because my job is to prepare you, and I didn't prepare you, or I let it slide. And from here on out, I'm not letting anything slide. Okay? I'm sick about this. My entire coaching career, I'll be sick about this. This isn't on you. This is on me. But the next time I tell you to do something and you don't do it, you're out. You're gone.
Yeah.
You won't have a job here, and I'll make sure you don't have a job anywhere. That's kind of how those meetings typically go. But no, there's more than 29 to blame on that play right there, no doubt.
So there've been, in my opinion, 3 great offensive lines in a decade. That early Dak Prescott Cowboy O-line, about 5 or 6 years with the Eagles before Jason Kelce retired, and Detroit now. Give me the Jared Goff looks, it's like he's in a recliner. He's so comfortable. Give me the best offensive line you played with, and how it changes emotionally, physically. How does it change? Because Goff his accuracy now is through the roof.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think the best offensive line that I played with would probably be 05 in Seattle. We had the left side Hall of Famers, Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson, Robbie Tobeck's one of the greatest leaders I've ever been around as a center, very smart player, and 2 very underrated players on the right side, Chris Gray from Auburn, Sean Locklear from NC State. And we had a great fullback. That's a part of it. Tight ends that can block. We had Penn State wide receivers and Joe Jaravicius and Bobby Ingram, who knew how to block. Everybody's involved in the running game, everybody. But I would say that it's a mindset. And Dan Campbell has instilled a mindset in an identity. Ben Johnson has the scheme. And then I do believe in a roundabout way, Sean McVay deserves some credit, because under center play action, Jared Goff is as good as there is in the game. And the amount of audibling, redirecting the mic, they've called 3 plays in the huddle at once. It'll be, we're running this, alert to that, kills to this. And so they're never really seemingly in a bad play. And it's a shift, and it's a motion. It's a hard count. It's coming out of the huddle really quick. It's staying in the huddle a long time. It's changing personnel groups. So I think it's all of those things combined, but that team is rolling right now, and they are offensive on offense. And a lot of times offenses play kind of defensive.
Yeah.
And that's not what the Detroit Lions do.
Yeah, it's almost like they're putting everything on film for everybody to see. We're going to make you stay up for weeks. We're going to have 3 different guys throwing. A lot of teams want to hide their trick plays. It feels like Detroit saying, no, we're going to run about 22 this year. You have to pick so it'll slow down defenses. It's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? Some of the plays that they're running aren't super complicated plays. You know, one of their first touchdown passes yesterday was just on the old John Gruden Spider 2Y banana without the banana. It's just the Spider 2. They were like, we are so confident that this play is going to work. We're going to motion the guy over who's going to bluff and then be in the flat, that we're really not even going to run anybody else on a route. Like half the time there's like one real receiver on the whole play because they know that Goff's going to have him in the right play and it's going to be wide open. And so it's a mindset, it's scheme, and Goff's kind of like the choreographer of the whole thing.
Finally, Matt Hasselbeck, with the trade deadline's coming. J-Mac and I talked about if I was Washington, I would consider getting a corner. I think they're for real. I think they're well coached. I think they're capable of winning a playoff game. I don't think they're ready for Detroit yet. There's steps to it. But I was thinking about the Jets. They have 2 corners, and they're struggling. And you have Aaron, who you don't want to lose. The Jets are one of the only teams in the league that could lose a corner and still have a great corner. Would you consider, as a GM of the Jets, making the move to get a draft pick? You may need to draft a quarterback if Aaron shuts it down. What would that do to a locker? You've been on buyers and sellers at the trade deadline. What does it do, Matt?
Yeah, the Jets, come on. They start with the moment they let their head coach walk out the door, they were selling. So yes, you're absolutely right. I think there's other teams, like you mentioned, Washington. They don't necessarily want to trade.
Right.
They don't want to go. I don't think they feel like they're all the way there yet. But there's going to be teams like the Chiefs who are going to be in the market to trade. There's going to be Detroit. They're going to make a run at it. And I think teams like Washington, they're going to be like, no, we got no choice. We got no choice. We got to get in the game. So, yeah, I think that could definitely happen with the Jets. I mean, it's sort of like, to me, that's a no-brainer. They're a mess. I mean, they almost look like they're being punished to play. I had a running back coach once, Stump Mitchell, who used to say in like a pregame pep talk, it was awesome. He'd be like, you know why these guys are coming out here to play us this week? Because the league is making them. Like, they don't want to come out here and play this game. And that's actually what I thought. Like, man, that's crazy. Can you imagine being on a team that didn't want to play on Sunday? Like, I sort of feel like watching them, like, literally, it's like pulling teeth, man. It's like every single play is like the play clock's down to 2, 1,
yes,
timeout, or delay a game, or like get it off. It's like, I don't know. Something's off right there. It's tough to watch.
Yeah.
It's not good.
By the way, I'll throw this stat at you. I learned this morning. It had been 12 years since a team had no turnovers, held an opponent to under 250 yards and lost. Teams were 220-0 if you don't turn it over and hold them under 250, and the Jets broke the streak. So to me, it's systemic. Like, you can blame Aaron, but I think you just pointed to something. They are so slow out of the huddle. They are so slow at the line. Aaron's not providing juice. They just feel like they're plodding through a game.
Well, yeah, and listen, he's not the same as he was. I mean, mobility was one of his greatest strengths. I mean, that dude was amazing in the pocket. He was amazing at a lot of things, but using his legs with his eyes downfield or using his legs to get a first down, that was like vintage. Like that's gone. I don't think when's the last time he even had a rushing attempt?
Yeah.
I don't think he had one yesterday. Like that's part of it. I also think that playing winning football as a team and understanding like the team's problem is something that's underrated. And like, I don't know, they're on the struggle bus right now. Can they get back on? Can they get back on track a little bit? Like, yeah, but you're talking trade deadline. That's like the perfect team to me.
Matt Hasselbeck, as always. Love having you on Mondays, man. You make us smarter. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. See you, Colin.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.